You know what's coming.
Your daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz.
It's time.
All season long and even in the off season. It's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Donkey. Welcome back to the program. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jeremiah Jensen, the JJ portion of the show, is on the road, and he'll be back on Monday. And so, as I like to do all the time, we ask Steven Sylvester to join us. Sly, former Utah linebacker, former Steeler linebacker, joining us on the program right now. And current Laker fan. That feel pretty good right now, or?
Yeah,
It
works.
We're watching the Lakers getting the doors blown off them in these highlights that we're watching right now, and it feels just selfishly, it feels pretty good to watch JJ Redick be like, I don't know what the problem is. We just got to work harder. I don't know.
But you know, this is like cliche. Like they just do stupid stuff at the beginning of the year.
Look at it. See, this is Laker fan.
And then they turn it on in like March and April.
He's pointing at the TV and he's mad.
Oh yeah, you could just see me at home. Just imagine me at home right now. I'm headbutting the TV.
Look, and Laker fans are.
That's why you shouldn't even watch this early season.
No.
Just like
come
the
on.
effort's trash.
I don't. No, there's no way. The NBA Cup has changed the entire league. Maybe. All right. Joining us on the program right now, he is, of course, Big T Thurl Bailey. Thurl, whenever I get Sly in, I always have to hassle him about being a Laker fan, but we still love him, right?
No.
Come on.
What are you talking about? Fly. How long have you been in Utah, my brother?
More than half my life, I think, actually.
Come on, dude. Make the switch.
I can't. I grew up, denouncing
You
the
can.
Jazz. So
You can.
See, this is when Sly goes, I sent some tickets over to Broadcast House, and Sly's going to go, and we're going to make it happen. No, well, I always have these plans, but you're right. I mean, one of the things that I have is, so it's one thing for Sly to grow up in Vegas and be a Laker fan. It's another to have like friends who grew up in American Fork and Pleasant Grove, and they're freaking Laker fans. I'm like, what's your parents' problem? But I don't know. Thurl, we still love the team. I don't care what's going on. You still love the Utah Jazz. You still ride with these guys. You still watch what they do if you're a fan. And we're doing it right now. This Jazz team struggling a little bit. The NBA Cup was not one of those things that none of those games turned out for the Jazz, and they're playing really, really good teams on top of the fact that they're struggling a little bit right now.
Yeah, they are. And look, I mean, you just talked about loyalty, and Sly, I get it. I mean, you're a loyal fan, and the Jazz Nation fans understand the journey that the Jazz are going through right now. There's no secret. This is a young club, one of the youngest clubs in the league. And we're just trying to get to a point where we can be like the team that just ran us out of the gym the other day in Oklahoma City. That is a really good team, a really good and hungry team, even with some of their stars, Chet Holmgren injured. But the defense I saw them put on the Jazz the other night, which they do every single night, is something that is so rare in this league because it's 48 minutes of just pressure. And, when they can make you cough up the ball 29 times.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And they score 45 points off of that. You can't win games that way. But yeah, I mean, I try to look at some positive things. There's some positive growth going on with the Jazz right now. You may not be able to see it in games like that, but you got to be patient. Got to be patient. You got to be a true fan. As loyal as Sly is to the Lakers.
Yeah.
You got to be patient and hope that in the next 2 or 3 years that you can get to the point where you can at least get in the playoffs and be at that level.
Yeah, I mean, where you get your loyalties or where it grows from, where your fandom comes from. Like me as a kid, my mom was a Lakers fan, and she put me on when I was starting to understand sports. So that's just how that started. And then, of course, football. I grew up a Cowboys fan. Now I'm a Steelers fan because I played for the Steelers. Thurl, Jazz fan because he played for the Giants.
Oh my God!
Right? I mean, how you grow your fandom is kind of crazy.
I tend to think that even if Thurl didn't play for the Jazz, he'd be a big Jazz fan right now. That's where I'm at, Thurl. With that. Speaking of guys who've had positive, the things that I'm looking at positive, kind of impacts of the year. I've really loved what Walker Kessler has done this season compared to what not just I think people expected of him last year, but I think what people were expecting of him this year and kind of the level of what maybe some of that worry was as to what year 3 Walker was going to look like. And yeah, they get beat up pretty bad by maybe the best team in the West on, the other night. And they have one of the worst they had the record-setting worst turnover half in the history of the game, which is wild. But Walker Kessler goes 17-11, and I feel like he just keeps getting better a little bit every night. What are the things that he's learning now in year 3? And I know that people were worried about him a little bit.
Well, I love that kid. I think that maybe what the expectations were when he came in as a rookie, nobody really knew, right? But then he surprised a lot of us just by coming out and establishing himself on the defensive end, obviously, and becoming one of the best shot blockers in the league, and still kind of unpolished, right, offensively, not knowing what you're going to get from him. But in today's NBA, I think he has figured it out. Kind of had a down year last year. He would tell you this. And, he had some injuries towards the end of the season. But I think the one thing that was really glaring for him was not even the physical part of the game, but more so the mental part, the psychological part, the part where you don't beat yourself up too much. And he was doing a lot of that last year. And so if you watch Walker Kessler prepare for a game now, he's uber focused. Right, he is uber focused. He was kind of a kid in his rookie season, real playful. He has some of that still when he's away from the game, a lot of that actually. But, when you're on that court, and Sly will tell you, same with the football field, you're a different person. You have to be to be able to compete every night at that level.
Right.
And so I love what Walker did. He's not trying to go outside himself. He is as good offensively as his teammates allow him to be, which means some of his offense is going to come from DIY, working on, second opportunities, missed shots, putbacks, timing with lobs. But his teammates have to reward him too. I love talking about my bigs being rewarded for their hard work, especially on the defensive end when he saves a lot of guys after they get beat. So I love what he's doing. He's going to continue to mature.
Yeah, I mean, so you talked about it, right? OKC, they kind of turn their stuff around with these young guys. You see Houston doing extremely well, Minnesota, Dallas. What does a turnaround look like in the NBA, right? We got to be patient, going through growing pains, building. What does that look like in the NBA, and how far off are the Jazz?
I think you just said 3 important things: patience, growing pains, some losing, and there's no home run when you draft a guy, when you make a trade, right? You have to have, obviously, Danny Ainge has been there before, so there are some elements there that he and Justin Zanuck can see. They're professionals at it. But sometimes it takes some good fortune, takes some luck. Sometimes it takes maybe a guy who you didn't think was going to be ready at a particular time is ready a little bit earlier, or you see something, or somebody surprises you, right? I mean, so, I don't think there's any particular secret formula for it, but I think the main things that you have to have patience. The developmental part is the vital piece, but you have to have a great coach who can ride with these guys and communicate with them, because it's hard. It's hard to lose in this league a lot,
right?
And not see or hear certain things coming out of those doors in the locker room. Mm-hmm. I've been there. But if you have a coach and a coaching staff that can get these guys to buy in and understand some of the growing pains they're going to go through, because I can tell you right now, you guys know this is a business, and players want to play.
Yep.
They want to earn their contracts. They want to earn more money. They want playing time, and it's no different. But I think you have to have guys who are willing to sacrifice somewhat to get to the higher goal.
Jazz taking on the Trailblazers. You guys are going to be in Portland, of course, with those duties, and the Trailblazers are kind of on a similar track in terms of what their growth is looking like. I was actually, looking at kind of across the league and seeing Sports Illustrated just did some grades for everybody. I think it's funny to grade teams, especially a quarter of the way through the year. Although we're supposed to be like, and we've all listened to Locke enough to say, hey, you kind of go, where are you after that first 20? Where are you after the second 20, the third 20, et cetera? And after these first 20 games, the Jazz have been given a grade at least by, these super smart media folks, Thurl.
Committees? Like Mike Leach? What?
Yeah, at least it's not a playoff committee, Thurl. At least you guys don't have that. So they get a D-. And I thought, well, that's interesting because considering what they have, are they grading the organization as kind of like where Will Hardy's coaching is and versus where the patience is for this team? Where is this team really? Because I don't think D- speaks to what the franchise actually is.
No, I mean, there's so many different things out here, like analytics and different variables and elements. I don't know what they use, but bottom line, it's only opinion, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a great organization. I'm not blowing smoke. It is a magnificent organization. It really always has been. Even when the Millers had it, it was a very patient organization. And when you talk about being just being in a place where the community loves the team and they understand the game of basketball, but loyalty, I think, is the number one thing. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't get into grades as much, but I do know that you will not find a better and more excited owner right now of a professional team than Ryan Smith and his wife. And so when you look at the organization and the transition that it's gone through, it's still going through a transitional period, I think. And the bottom line is everybody wants that same goal, right? You want to win a title, and there's certain things you have to go through to do that, and a lot of them ain't good. And so when I say that, I mean, you're going to go through some tough times that you're going to question, players that may not work out, players that surprise you. So, yeah, I mean, I've been a part of this organization as a player and as a broadcaster for over 30-something years now. And so I've seen a lot. I've seen the people that have come in and out. I've been traded and have come back, and I've seen the changes, and I've seen a lot. I've seen the diversity that's happened over the past few years. So, yeah, I definitely wouldn't go that low. But, there are going to be haters out there. There are going to be people who still look at Utah as this small market and never going to have the opportunity to win a ring. And I'm excited to get to the point where, we can turn to those people and say, how you like me now?
Mm.
All right. I wanted to get your opinion on this as a player, and then, of course, as the league, when you retired, watching the league and to where it is now on the NBA Cup. Being integrated last year. What is your opinions on it? Do you think the intensity has increased from implementing it, and how have the players received it? Because at first, I believe last year there was a lot of people who were against it, and then playing it, there was some excitement last year, and then this year coming out. What is your opinion on the NBA Cup and that being implemented during the season?
Good question, Sly. First of all, I ran the Retired Players Association for about 9 years, and we used to be able to sit down at all of our meetings in the summer, All-Star Weekend, with Adam Silver, and he would give us kind of a forecast, if you will, state of the union, if you will. And at one point in one of these meetings a few years ago, the possibility of trying to implement something like this came up. And I remember the board, we were sitting in the room, everybody was really excited, like, okay, this is different. And Adam Silver, I think, has been amazingly creative, because a lot of people didn't really like the play-in at first. And the play-in is amazing.
Amazing, right? Yeah.
right? I mean, you look at, what has kind of motivated some of these teams now to play and to play hard. And I think this is another way, the cup game. Cup game is not a new concept, right? It happens in football meaning soccer in Europe, happens in basketball in foreign places. So it's not a new, I think what it does, and Sly, you can contest to this, if you put a possibility to win some kind of a championship in front of me and I'm an athlete, okay. We can win this?
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, so the athletes, I believe, love it. And it's still kind of in its infancy, right? Mm-hmm. So it has to catch on. But I think this year, you watched the Lakers do it last year. It's a championship. It's something to put on your resume. So I believe that it's going to be a great thing in the long run for these players, for the teams in the league, and for the fans as well. I think even mostly for the fans.
Thurl Bailey, of course, joining us here on the program as he does every Thursday as the Jazz get ready for their next matchup against the Trailblazers. I was watching this podcast. I write down questions and I'm like, I'm going to ask Thurl this. So forgive me if it's a little bit just kind of out of the blue, but B.J. Armstrong, of course, who played on those championship Bulls teams and,
yep.
Kind of that consummate shooter, one of those guys that you just were those awesome role players on those Bulls teams. He got onto one of these podcasts. This is a back and forth about, the mid-range game versus where the three-pointers are at. And he's like, I hate that any person that I talk to that's involved at the league level that are GMs and even like, these high-level coaches are like, we are only going to shoot corner threes. It was even not just for three-pointers. It was corner threes and then dunks. Like, give us all those. And he's like, and I'm just sad that but the reality is the best players in this game, even right now, are great mid-range shooters. Where is the state of shooting the NBA, Thurl? And do you look at it and say, and we've seen Jazz teams that have had these, thoughts like, hey, we're going to take that three-pointer because we're really good at it. And the metrics bear out that it's good for us to shoot this three. But what's the state of basketball when the mid-range game is just kind of disappearing?
This is where sometimes I butt heads with David Locke and analytics. Yeah, they're useful, don't get me wrong. But
you're with BJ on this.
I'm not.
Okay.
No, I am. I mean, I think that if a player has developed a mid-range game, why wouldn't you use that? It's one of the most dangerous shots in the league. Now, maybe analytics say a lot of guys haven't been taught it well enough. But, yeah, I just think the game has evolved to a point where the numbers are overriding the potential of players. And so you have to be convinced, unless you're a Devin Booker, or players who have made a living on it, even a Kevin Durant type player who's already established himself. Yeah, I think that most coaches are looking at, how many post-ups do you see in the league anymore?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, coaches just aren't teaching that. You don't see a lot of the mid-range action in college as much as you do the downhill to the hoop and three-point shot. So, yeah, I mean, I like the shot. I have a son that's, he's playing overseas now, Brendan, and that's one of the strengths of his game. He can shoot threes, he can get to the basket, but, if there's a defender waiting for him in the post, he gets past the first defender. Why not be able to pull up in that space and knock it down? So, yeah, I'm with BJ.
It's interesting because I think that, from a watching standpoint, obviously dunks and three-pointers are fun, but you know what? Like, don't you want to see the rest of the court used? Don't you want to see, what guys can do? And it is kind of interesting, too, because you talk about the bigs, and now what do we say an awesome big is? A guy who's 7'1" who gets out on the wing and shoots, and it's
never been the thing.
And that's it's great. It's what makes Lauri Markkanen the unicorn that he is. It's what makes Kyle Filipowski a fascinating prospect, right? But It is interesting because it's like, pulling up at the elbow. How dare you? Like that seems like such a strange thing as a guy who we watch so many of those guys, Thurl growing up, hitting the glass from 11 feet out, and you go, oh, look at the touch on that guy. And those were some of those guys' shots, man. And if it works, and if it wins games, that's all that matters. But I don't want there to be some fun taken out of the game because guys limit it.
Because of numbers,
right? The analytics say don't do it. It's crazy. So, Thurl, love having these talks, man, every week. Have fun there in Portland, and let's get back together again next week, of course, when the Jazz are going to be trying to break this 5-game losing streak, of course, and we're hoping it happens sooner than later. So we appreciate you joining us.
All right, man. Keep working on Sly, will you?
Thanks, Thurl.
I'll get his mom to ask him those questions.
See you guys.
Yeah, see you, Thurl. That's what we got to do. We got to call your mom and be like, "Hey, listen, I know he's been a Laker fan his whole life. He lives here now. We're just wondering if we
think you're gonna get my mom." I actually want you to call. Let's she's gonna be on next week. We gotta have that conversation. She's worse than I am.
Could we?
She's a Golden State Warriors fan now.
Oh, is she really?
She was a Lakers fan growing up, and I talk about the Lakers, and she's just trying to talk down on them. I'm just
I love it.
I'm a Lakers fan because of you.
He said, "Listen, can we at least make a trade? We'll give you some of these guys who work at our office who are Lakers fans." Who have no business being Lakers fans. They grew up here. Well, you can have a couple of them. Can we have Sly officially on the Utah Jazz bandwagon? I don't know. Just considering how much of a competitor you are, I feel like she won't give.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
fine. That's fine.
Yeah. I get it from somewhere.
I know. Haley's joining us from Hercules Credit Union. HerculesCU.com is the website. And I'm going to do this right now, Alex. Is that okay if we read off our Hercules Hero of the Week for this week? All right, so our Hercules Hero of the Week. I do this with Haley here because this is such a fun thing for us to be able to. You guys jumped in on this program and said we want to honor these youth sports volunteers in our neighborhood. And so anytime that we have you on and it's a Thursday, it just so happens to be a day that we can roll out some of these winners. I'm going to do it right here. So
Perfect.
Our Hercules Hero of the Week and the winner of the Hercules Hero Award this week, which entails a Visa gift card from Hercules Credit Union and $200 to Beehive Meals, who are also an awesome partner on this. Jessica Henninger, nominated by Kirry Watterson. We appreciate both of those ladies throwing this out there. One, because Jessica does a phenomenal job, enough to get that nomination. And then Kirry saying, you know what, I want to throw out that nomination for this. And here's what she said about Jessica. She's an awesome team mom, super supportive and positive, stepped up and accepted the role as the team mom for our football team this year. She had boys on several teams and a husband who coached at a different level. And is the district president for the Ute Conference there in that area. And so they had a lot going on. And together, they deserve to be recognized. So grateful for their organization and the respect and the respectful attitude that they have. She's an amazing football mom. So congratulations to Jessica Henninger, nominated by Kirry Watterson as our Hercules Hero of the Week. And so that's why we do this, right?
Right.
This is why it's so much fun to be able to roll these things out.
Yes. Recognizing that amazing mom.
Wow. Why did you guys get involved in this? Because it's one thing to be able to say, oh, we love supporting sports, but this is a different thing. This is youth sports.
Right. Well, all of us have participated in youth sports, and we know how hard our parents work at providing us that, that. It's a culture. Obviously, you live this sports culture, and it's huge where we, in our office, we feel that. We feel that mom and that dad who are too busy but make it happen at the end of the day.
Sure.
It's
an awesome thing. And Hercules Federal Credit Union, you guys are doing an awesome job here. And look, this is a community effort. This is not something that's found in 14 different states. This is a local community credit union where you're going to get to know the tellers that you drive through at your local one. But you're also being able to get that top level online care that you get in that nationwide coverage as well. So when somebody wants to join and be a part of Hercules Credit Union, what do they have to do?
So just go on our website, fill out the application, and you got it. I mean, really, it's that simple. $5 account is all you have to have for the minimum, and you can start, using your debit card that day. We have them issued right there in-house. So,
well, if somebody's listening right now and they go, I want to be a part of this family situation, I want to be a part of what they do at Hercules Credit Union. If you want to be able to go and see, hey, what's a loan look like right now?
Yeah.
You can go and apply online. You can go and look and see what the current rates are. You can call them and say, hey, I want to be involved in this. What can you guys do for me? You were talking about the checking rate that people can get right now. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. So our rate is 4.25, which is amazing for a checking account. So if you put enough money in there, you can get that rate. And you'll also be getting benefits plus. You'll get Ultimate ID and rewards points.
A lot better than the 0.25% we were getting a couple years ago. Right? I think we're in a better spot now.
Just a little bit.
So give them a call and see what that entails. And man, I mean, look, you put some money in the account, and that immediately starts growing to that level, 4.25%. That's awesome. So, Haley, thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank
we appreciate it. We'll see you in a couple minutes.
Okay, deal.
HerculesCU.com is the website, and congratulations again to Jessica Henninger, who is the Hercules Hero of the Week. She gets that $50 gift card courtesy of Hercules Credit Union, and also $200 to Beehive Meals. We'll come right back. We got more to go right around the corner. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on the Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, welcome back, JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Stevens and Sylvester Sly joining us today in studio with JJ on the road. You heard it from Thurl. You just got the command. You got to become a Jazz fan, bro.
I need some jerseys. I need my own locker. Ryan, I need you to fund my new business.
Ryan and Ashley Smith. I'll tell you, I can get a big old Jazz fan over here.
Oh yeah, I got tons of Jazz fans that are friends and stuff. So I get to rile them up.
We have to
time.
go back and forth, yeah. And look, these are days like this when the Jazz are struggling right now. But then I can look and say it's the worst 2-loss stretch that the Lakers have ever had.
Oh, it brings you joy.
Listen. Brings me joy is an aggressive way to put it. But, however, I didn't grow up in this market either, so I grew up a Sonics fan, right? You know, you're watching the Sonics play, and you go, man, I love
the Sonics.
I love me some Gary Payton. I love me some
Sean Kemp,
some Sean
Sam
Kemp.
Mitchell, Detlef Schrempf.
Give me Detlef Schrempf any day of the week. Also, underrated was Sam Perkins, Big Easy.
Sam Perks. Oh,
hitting those. Speaking of guys,
he was like one of the first big guys. Yeah,
I think it wasn't because he was lazy. He just got down the floor.
He had a slow-mo mentality about him, but he'd kill you.
He had my body type. And that's what I like about him.
I can relate to that guy.
He's like, if
he can do it, I can.
Is his gut kind of hanging over those short shorts? Heck yeah, man.
That's why you become a fan.
I told you. So that's one of my favorite athlete interactions when I was like 14. I saw Sam Perkins in the airport. Mm-hmm. And we were in the Phoenix airport, and I see Sam Perkins. And now I recognize Sam Perkins, but he's also 6'11".
Right.
So Sam Perkins walking down the thing, but I'm like, that's Sam Perkins right there. And they're like, no. My dad goes, no. And I go, yes, it is. And I walked up and I go, hey. And I did the thing that the 13, 14-year-old kid does. Hey, are you Sly? Are you Stevenson Sylvester? Like, even though they know. And I did the same thing. Hey, are you Sam Perkins? And he goes, nah, man. And I was like, I'm not putting up with this. I said, I'm not putting up with this. I go, oh, okay. Will you sign this? And what did I have? I had one of my friends had a Phoenix Suns hat. Oh. He had a Phoenix Suns hat. And Sam Perkins looks at it and was like, fine. And just signs it and hands it to me. I was like, fine. He's like, fine. I don't even know if he said it. He just took the thing. He just took the pen that I had and he had the Suns hat. He looked at it and he flipped it over. I was like,
whatever.
Don't care. Probably has signed worse, right? He's like, yeah, I've signed worse. It's fine. All right. Here's the deal. It's that time of the show for me to roll out a couple things. First of all, it's that time of the year. The KSL's Quarters for Christmas is underway, raising money for local children in need. 100% of the money that we receive for KSL Quarters for Christmas, that's been going on forever, by the way. I've worked here for 20 years, and KSL Quarters for Christmas is a staple in this community to raise money, 100% of which goes to provide for kids shoes, clothing, and coats during this cold time of year. It's an awesome charity, and it's something you can just easily donate to. You can donate online, kslquarters.com, or just go into any Deseret Book location and donate there as well. kslquarters.com is how you can donate to the KSL Quarters for Christmas campaign. So there you go. All right. Let's go to some of our conference championship predictions here, right? This is because I don't get you tomorrow, so I'm going to get you today, all right? Give me some thoughts here on how this thing's going to play out. Now, here are your conference championships, and there's a lot on the line for this UNLV Boise State game. Actually, this is a sneaky good conference championship right here, right? Because UNLV wins this game. They ruin Boise State's, CFP busting. They've already done the BCS busting.
Right.
They're going to ruin Boise State's CFP busting, and they become likely that 11, 12 seed in the college football playoff if they win that one. Now, Boise State wins that one. They're likely locking up that number 4 seed in the college football playoff and get that bye in the first round. Boise State hasn't been blowing the doors off of people recently. They've struggled against some of these teams lately. UNLV is doing phenomenally, and they've struggled here and there, but I think they're playing teams, they're blowing the doors off of teams, whereas Boise State have Ashton Jeanty, one of the best, most electric running backs in the entire country, and a Heisman Trophy probably finalist when it comes down to it. But they have just they're getting on they're on the cusp of losing a game, it feels like. And I don't know what it is, but UNLV goes to Boise State. Your thoughts on this one tomorrow as these two teams face off on the blue turf?
One, that blue turf is annoying. But it's definitely a home field advantage.
Well, what's funny is and you've played on it, and I've covered it in the stadium as a media person. It's actually worse in person. On TV's bad. It's worse in person. I haven't
played on that field.
Oh, you haven't? You never had to play Boise State?
No, I played them when they came here.
Okay, so in the stadium, for some reason, it gets even worse being there. You're like, how did this get?
Yeah, I've never been there. I've just seen it on TV, and I'm just like, I would be infuriated if I was a player.
So take it to this level. When they're wearing the full blues.
Yeah.
And then the ball gets kicked off and they lay on the turf and you're like, this can't be normal, you guys.
Yeah.
This feels like a ripoff.
Man, I'd be watching film, right? In college, I'd watch film on people that they played, and I'm like, this is a cheat. That is just not okay. And so, that's just terrible. But, hey, that's a huge home field advantage. And so, for me, I do think Boise State's going to pull off the win here, but I don't think it's going to be something that's going to be easy. I think UNLV's going to make it interesting, right? And I think these guys the last few years have been playing in really tight matchups. I think they know each other extremely well. And this is for the championship game, so there's always going to be some electricity. So, I got Boise State probably winning by 10 points, 34-24.
I like it. Okay. I think that UNLV is going to make it they're going to be on the cusp of ruining Boise State's college football playoff lives. But they're not going to do it. I think it's going to be like a 20. I bet it's going to be a 24 because they've been pretty low scoring games for Boise State, except for against Utah State. I think they put 62 on the Aggies early in the season, but they've had these kind of weird 17-13 kind of games of late, and I think that Boise State is going to still win, but I think it's going to be like a 24-21 type game.
When those guys play those tough games, those close games, they are comfortable in those situations. So you definitely got to give them the edge. And for me, the last meeting they had this year was in Vegas, and it was 29-24. And so I think it's going to be a very similar type game in Boise. It's going to be cold weather, I believe, tomorrow night. But I think that's going to play a factor, and I got to give the edge to Boise. That's why my 34-24 really comes into play here.
Okay. Next up in the conference championships, one that got a little bit less exciting when Army started to struggle toward the end of the year, and then Tulane ended up losing their last game of the season. So their thoughts of being a highly ranked conference champion kind of went away. Yeah. But Army and Tulane, I think Army blows the doors off of Tulane, man. I think Army's going to do their thing where they run all over the place, and I bet they're going to beat up on the Green Wave, man. I'm going to say it's a 30-16 game in favor of the Black Knights of Army.
You think it's going to be like that?
Yes.
Oh,
it's going to be one of those 480 yards on the ground, very typical Army catches the team off guard. They don't know what to do. It's going to be that kind of game.
I don't know. Tulane's a good scoring offense. They've scored tremendous points this year, 40, 50 points multiple times. So they even got a 70-point game. Now, their opponents. But I think that it's going to be a high-scoring matchup. I don't give the edge to Army that much. And you're going to get two... I don't know. That is going to come down the wire. I think it's going to be like a 44-42 type game where it was going to be 42-41 and somebody kicks a field goal to make it 44-42. I'm giving the edge to Tulane in this one.
Okay.
44-42.
All right. Ooh, that's going to be a barn burner.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got Army's offense and then Tulane's offense. It's like, what's going to happen?
All right. Now let's get to Saturday, the big ones. Arizona State and Iowa State for the Big 12 championship game down in Arlington, Texas. And I've said from the time that Arizona State started to get that traction, and it's unfortunate, you know when they really turned a corner?
After Utah.
After that Utah game.
Yeah. Oh, I noticed.
After
his post-game speech and the whole crowd was behind him, Kenny Dillingham just went on fire after that.
So they start to really, really take off, and they're playing the best football right now.
Of anybody.
Maybe of any, not just in the conference. Like they are feeling a different type of swagger. They're finding a different level of, and was Sam Levitt the freshman offensive player of the year in the or the newcomer or something like that? He won one of those awards for Arizona State. They're playing such good ball. And on the other side, you have Rocco Beck in Iowa State, who, number one, didn't look great against Utah. We're still in a little bit of a malaise versus Kansas State, but they win because Kansas State didn't feel like showing up, I feel like, in that game against Iowa State in the whatever the bowl is that they call that. It's the Farmageddon. That's what they call it, the Farmageddon between those two
I did
teams.
not know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's kind of an embarrassing one to be a part of. So
that
I think
was a weather game, that one was.
Yeah. I think Arizona State absolutely keeps this thing going. They're scoring like crazy. They got probably the best running back in, like the hottest one in the country probably right now in Cam Scadaboo. I mean, maybe Ashton Ginty, but what he's doing at the P4 level, like insane stuff. And every team who goes, well, we'll figure this guy out. He's not as fast as some of these other guys and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. He shows up. There's a different level of toughness, and I think that Arizona State continues to roll. This is a 31-10 kind of game for me in favor of Arizona State.
I don't agree.
Wow.
I actually like Rocco Beck a lot.
Oh, he's been looking terrible, bro.
Amen. You get out of these weather games in Utah and Iowa State, and he's going to be indoors at Arlington in AT&T Stadium in Jerry's World. He's going to take off, and I think he's the type of guy when the lights are the brightest, he's going to shine. And I think tomorrow night or Saturday night or Saturday morning, it's a morning game, 11 a.m., 10 a.m. Saturday morning.
Yeah, it's a 10 a.m. kick here locally.
I think he's that's gonna be awesome for him. And in one, I love Kenny Dillingham, how he's got that team rolling. I think it's gonna be a really, really, really great matchup. It's probably the Big 12 championship matchup I was most excited for, and glad it actually worked out that way. But I think it's gonna be.
You were the only guy who wanted Iowa State in that game. Well, maybe Utah fans were feeling that way. I
mean, for excitement, I would like Colorado.
Yeah, I think Colorado's probably the best team.
But again, you want to go back to our, what we started the show with and all these accolades and awards and stuff and like who's really wanting it and who wants it, whatever. You can put Colorado in that mix. But here nor there, I think this game, is going to be tight. I think it's going to be mid-scoring, not terribly high scoring, not terribly low scoring. I'm going to say 34-31.
Okay.
No, it's going to be a 4-point game because a field goal is not going to do it. So I got 34-30.
Okay, that's all right.
34-30
in favor of Iowa State. Arizona
State.
Yes,
Iowa State.
Wow. Okay, let's go quickly through these. Rematch between Georgia and Texas. Texas has been trending up ever since they lost to Georgia. Georgia has been trending the other direction. Seems like they can't get their stuff together. I am not a believer in Carson Beck, the quarterback for Georgia, but it's still Georgia. They know how to win games. Do they get Texas for the second time? Of course, this game gets played in Atlanta for the SEC championship game.
No, Georgia loses. Texas is just rolling right now, and they're feeling good, and they understand exactly what they have to do, kind of the moment right now, and they're trying to put it on and make sure. So I got Texas winning in this one because if their backup quarterback comes in, it's going to be friggin' money. So I got Texas by 2 touchdowns.
All right. Boy. Penn State, Oregon, your Big Ten matchup.
Ew.
Ew.
Both of these teams.
You don't like them?
Yeah. No, I mean, they're both talented. Just,
Yeah, I get you. I know the pass. It's fine.
Exactly. I think it's going to be good. I finally think Penn State's going to be tested. The only time they've been tested was Ohio State, and they lost that. And so this is going to be another test. Oregon's a really good team. Dan Lanning is a freaking psychopath, and I love it. He is, man. He knows how to motivate the masses, and when you do that, you got a dangerous team.
And he's like 24 and a half years old.
And that's what the crazy thing is. So, one, he's got the energy to keep it going. And then, two, he's got the team. I got Oregon here in this one by about 10 points.
Yeah, I don't think Penn State. I think Penn State was like a little bit annoyed by the fact that Ohio State lost that game to Michigan. So they're like, oh shoot, we're gonna have to play in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna skate.
They were gonna be like Indiana and just be like, we don't have to play in this thing, right? We're just gonna get in and we'll be fine. No, it's I think Penn State not anywhere near the talent level of Oregon, and frankly, they haven't played anybody aside from Ohio State this year, and they got beat up pretty bad by Ohio State. I think it was at Penn State too. Finally, your ACC championship between SMU and Clemson. Debo Samuel and his 9-3 Tigers versus the hot upstart that is SMU, who lost against BYU and then hasn't lost a game since.
Dabo Swinney. You said Debo Samuels.
Oh, did I?
I'm like, Debo Samuels?
Wow.
Clemson? What?
Sorry.
I'm like, I thought he was the Niners.
Dabo
Swinney.
Okay.
And SMU's only loss to BYU. Craziness.
Very different team back then, though.
Yeah.
Don't you love hearing that one? That was a very different team.
First of all, both of these teams have done good. Dabo, of course, with his NIL angst, and then SMU just making their mark, scoring tons and tons of points this year. They've been one of the most exciting teams this year to watch because of what they've been able to do. So looking forward to them putting on a good performance and scoring a lot of points. I got to give them the edge. I think this is going to be a 31-28 type game. Who's going to win it, though?
Oh, you're just going to give the score? Who's going to win? Okay.
So for me, I just kind of feel the game and look in the stadium and see the jerseys and see the number. Now I got to see who's going to be on top, right?
You're like football psychic.
Right?
I have to feel the numbers. I have to see the colors in my head.
How's it going to be? I'll give Clemson the edge.
Wow.
And 31-28 winning down in Charlotte.
I think it's going to be a signature SMU blowout that they've been having in a lot of these games. I'm going to go 42-21. They get the win over Clemson, who's been faking it for the past 2 years now. Okay? All right. We'll take a break here. We'll come back. When we return, we'll roll out a couple things here from the transfer portal, and also starting at 5 o'clock, Steve Bartle, KSLSports.com, insider for. Yeah, Bartle's going to roll in and give us some thoughts. I want to know where the transfer portal's at right now with the Utes. It's an ever-changing world here. It's a soap opera.
Had a few guys jump in today.
Oh, yeah. Stay here, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex. Presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Sly joining me today. Nice enough to give his totally wrong conference championship picks in the last segment. You can go back and listen.
The only one I don't feel certain about is that SMU one. Otherwise, I'm going to be spot on.
I'm going to be spot on, he says. Mm-hmm. You had Iowa State beating Arizona State by like a lot, too, by the way, wasn't it?
No.
But you had them beating them, right?
Yeah, 34-30.
Listen, love having you. Love your energy. You're dead wrong.
All right.
I'm going to see how this goes. But it makes more fun. But yeah, a Friday, couple of championship games, and then a Saturday morning 10 a.m. kickoff for your conference championship. It makes it feel not as big when you're like, oh, man, what a huge game. We'll see you at 10 a.m. It's 9 a.m.
It's
9 a.m.
Saturday.
9 a.m. Pacific.
If you wake up at 6 a.m. to watch NFL London, you better wake up at 10 a.m. to watch college football on Saturday.
That's it. But I don't wake up, by the way, to watch the NFL in London. No, sorry, Jags fans. I didn't catch any of your.
There's like 3 games a year over there. They love it.
That's because Shad Khan is their owner wishes that they were there in London. I think he owns the Tottenham Hotspurs, right? I think the stadium they play in is like he's technically the owner of that too. There's a selfish reason to it all. So there you go. Stay with us, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.